Pickering Railway Station. Pickering Railway Station is the southern terminus of the North Yorkshire Moors Railway and serves the town of Pickering in North Yorkshire, England. History. Whitby and Pickering Railway 1836 to 1845. Originally from 1836, Pickering was the southern terminus of the horse-worked Whitby and Pickering Railway W&P engineered by George Stephenson. The coach shed at the end of the W&P's line stood approximately where the north end of the Y&M train shed stands today. The W&P minute books in the National Archives also refer to a weighbridge at Pickering, but, if built, its location is unknown. York and North Midland Railway 1845 to 1854. In 1845 the W&P was taken over by George Hudson's York and North Midland Railway Y&M, and the present station was built to the design of George Townsend Andrews. The Y&M converted the line into a double-track steam railway and constructed the link from Pickering to Rillington Junction on the new line from York to Scarborough. As well as the fine station building, the York and North Midland Railway also provided other characteristic Andrews buildings, a stone-built goods shed with wooden extension and a gas works. One of the earliest surviving railway gasworks buildings occupied the area now known as the Ropery. The goods shed was demolished to make way for the new road, but the gas works, it ceased to produce gas when Pickering got its own gas and water company. Later the NER had it converted into a corn warehouse. By the 1960s it had become a tire retailer's and subsequently was well restored for use as a cafe, later becoming a ladies' hairdresser's. While the adjacent doctor's surgery was being built, the base of the gasometer was discovered and excavated, and still smelled of coal gas. It was filled in and sealed off and then built over. The Y&M also built a small brick single-road engine shed, large enough for a single locomotive. The shed was extended by the NER in 1867. There was a standard Y&M house built adjacent to the shed. Both buildings are still standing today, incorporated into a joinery works. The shed lost its clerestory roof sometime in the 1950s, according to surviving photographic evidence, but for a building about to become redundant in 1958, BR surprisingly made the roof good as plain slate. This building is not only a rare, if not the only surviving example of a G.T. Andrews engine shed, but it is one of very few rural single-track engine sheds still standing. The Y&M also provided a number of mainly single-story gatekeepers' cottages next to those road crossings away from the town centre: Haygate Lane, Mill Lane and Newbridge, two-story, all of which still survive. Northeastern Railway 1854 to 1922. London and Northeastern Railway 1923 to 1947. Very little changed at Pickering during the London and Northeastern Railway's Elmer 25-year reign. A new paint scheme, two-tone green and cream, replaced the NER brown and cream, but most of the NER characteristic enamel signs remained in use, although the running-in boards were painted over during the Second World War. Although the Elmer brought different locomotives, most of the local trains still consisted mainly of NER stock. British Railways 1948 to 1965. Under British Railways BR, the present station lost its characteristic overall roof in 1952 as an economy measure, as corrosion meant it was unsafe. The NIMR was granted heritage lottery funding for a number of schemes at Pickering Station, which includes reinstatement of the 1845 designed roof, which was projected to be complete by 2010, but was not officially unveiled until April 2011. At some time in the early BR period, probably at the same time that the overall roof was removed, Pickering lost its characteristic small W.H. Smith's bookstall on the up platform. This bookstall had been there since sometime in the NER period. It appears in the background of views taken by local photographer Sidney Smith before and during the First World War. Subjects include a local Sunday school outing. It also appears in a photo of a wedding group on the platform in early BR days. a copy of which is held in the Nimmer Archives digital image collection. On 6 April 1959, the engine shed closed, and Pickering's engine requirements were supplied by Malton Shed. The turntable was also removed by then. There were no terminating passenger services, both branch lines having closed. Pickering Station carried on as usual until its death knell was sounded in the Beeching Report of 1963, which planned the closure of all railways serving Whitby. Despite a fierce local campaign of opposition, the line between Rillington Junction and Grosmont closed on 8 March 1965. The line from Rillington as far as New Bridge Signal Box, about a mile north of the station, remained open for goods for a further year, a solitary signalman being retained at Pickering to work all the cabins needed by the goods trains. Preservation. In 1967, a group of local residents set up the North Yorkshire Moors Railway Society with the aim of preserving the line. Services began in 1970, and on 22 April 1973 the entire line from Grosmont to Pickering was reopened. Pickering's closed railway lines. In pre-preservation days, Pickering was not a terminus. The main line continued south to Rillington Junction and thus to Malton, with connections for York. The Malton-Whitby service was ended in 1965 as part of the Beeching Acts. Just south of the town was a double junction at Mill Lane, with the Forge Valley branch turning east for Scarborough. This line closed in 1950, except for a freight-only service to Thorntondale, which succumbed in 1963. A second branch, the Gilling and Pickering line, headed west for Kirbymoor Side, Helmsley, Gilling, and eventually Pilmore on the East Coast Main Line. This line provided Pickering's through passenger service to York, but was closed in 1953. A bus service, operated by Yorkshire Coastliner, now replaces the railway line to Malton and York, which is advertised along with railway services on the station's departure boards. Part of the course of the old line through the town is now a road called the Ropery, but the former engine shed has been converted into commercial premises, see above, and the bridge over Pickering Beck now used as a footpath. Services. The North Yorkshire Moors Railway runs regular services from Pickering to Grosmont, with some summer extensions to Whitby, operated by a variety of steam and diesel traction. There is also a bus link from York Railway Station.